How I wish the Argos sails had never swept through the dark blue crashing rocks into the land of the Colchians. I wish the pine trees had never fallen into the groves of Pelion, cut down to put oars in the hands of the heroes who went after the golden fleece for Peleus. Then my mistress Medea would not have sailed to the fortress of Iolcus land, her heart battered by love for Jason. And she would not have convinced the daughters of Peleus to kill their father, and would not have come here to live here on Corinthian soil with her husband and children, winning over the citizens of the country she had come to as a refugee, and obliging Jason in every way. This is what brings the greatest stability at home. When a woman does not challenge her husband. It has all gone sour now, affection turned to hatred. Jason has cast aside his children and my mistress, and now goes to bed in a royal marriage with the daughter of Creon, who governs this land. And Medea, in despair, rejected by her husband, howls out the oaths he swore, calls upon the right hand, a potent symbol of fidelity, invokes the gods to witness Jason's treatment of her. She won't eat. She just gives in to her grief, washing away all the hours in tears. Ever since she realized her husband had abandoned her, she never looks up or raises her face from the ground. She's like a rock or wave of the sea, when those who love her try to give advice, except that sometimes she lifts up her pallid face and mourns for her dear father, her country, and the home she betrayed. To come here with this man who now holds her in contempt. The poor woman knows from bitter loss what it means to have once had a homeland. And she hates her children, takes no pleasure in seeing them. I'm afraid of her, in case she has some new plan in mind. She's a deep thinker, you know, and she will not put up with this kind of abuse. I know her, and I am terrified that in silence entering the house where the bed is laid, she might thrust a sharp sword through the heart, or kill the princess and the one who married her, and then suffer some greater tragedy. She is frightening. It won't be easy for an enemy to come out victorious in a battle with her. But here come the children from their play. They know nothing of their mother's troubles, for the childish heart is not used to grief.
Well, there's my mistress, long-time slave. Why are you standing here all alone in front of the doors, grumbling about your troubles to yourself? How is it that Medea is willing to be left on her own?
Look, you've cared for Jason's children all these years, and you know that when the masters are in trouble, good slaves share in the disaster, and their hearts are touched too. Such deep sadness came over me that I needed to come out here and tell earth and sky the sorrows my mistress is suffering.
And is the poor woman still feeling sorry for herself?
I'd like to be in your shoes. She has barely started.
Oh, the fool. Sorry for the outburst, and yet she knows nothing of the latest troubles.
What is it, old man? Please, tell me.
It's nothing. I'm sorry it slipped out. Nurse, I beg you, please do not hide this from your fellow slave. If need be, I can keep it secret. Yes, well, I heard someone saying, though I was pretending not to listen as I was passing the tables where the old men sit to play checkers, you know, next to the sacred fountain of Pyrene, that these children will, with their mother, well, The king of this country, Creon, plans to banish them all from Corinthian territory. Whether the story is true, I'm not sure. Of course, I hope it is not.
And Jason puts up with his children being treated like that, even though he is estranged from their mother.
Old ties give way to new ones. He is not interested in this family.
It's all over for us. If we take on new troubles on top of the old before they have been drained out.
But listen, it is not a good time for Mistress to find out about this, so keep it quiet.
Children, do you hear what kind of man your father is to you? Damn him! But no, I can't say that. He is my master. Still, he has turned out to be a traitor to his family.
And what else do you expect? Are you just figuring out that everyone loves himself more than his neighbour? Their father doesn't care about these children now that he has a new wife.
Go on. Everything will be fine. In you go, children. But as best you can, keep them by themselves and don't let them go near their mother in the mood she's in. I have seen her giving them that wild animal glare as if she is planning to do something to them. She will not give up her rage, I'm sure of that, before she strikes out at someone. I pray it will be enemies and not loved ones she hurts.
I hate my life. How can I put an end to it?
Here it comes, my dear children. Your mother is stirring up her heart, stirring up her resentment. Hurry along inside the house and try not to let her see you. Do not go near her, but watch out for her savage mood and the loathing that issues from her stubborn nature. Go on now. Run along inside. Quick, quick. It is clear that a dark cloud of sorrow is flaring up from its first flicker and soon will ignite into a greater passion. What will it do, her raging spirit so hard to quell, now that it is battered with abuse?
I am in agony. I am so brutally misused. You horrible children! And a mother who hates you! God damn you with your father! And the whole house go to hell!
Oh my, oh, the sorrow of it all. Why do you entangle the children in their father's wrongdoing? Why do you hate them? Ah, me, dear children, how I grieve for you. Tyrants' tempers are insufferable. They are seldom under control. Their power is far-reaching. It is hard for them to swallow their rages. To get used to living on terms of equality is better. Look at me. I only hope that it's my look to grow old in security, not among the high and mighty. The golden mean. First, just to say its name should win a prize to apply it is by far the greatest achievement. But excess never should have a place in our lives. It brings all the greater ruin when some God feels spite towards a house.
I heard a sound and I heard a cry for the unhappy Colossian woman not yet gentled. And you, old woman, talk to us. Why, standing in my doorway, I heard a cry from inside this house. And I felt sorry for the troubles of the family, since it is dear to me.
There is no more house. It's all gone. Royal sheets enfold him now, but she weeps away her life, my mistress taking no comfort in the words of those who love her.
O Zeus and earth and light, hurl your fiery bolt of lightning straight through my skull. What use is life to me? Let me die and leave this life I hate.
Did you hear? O Zeus and earth and light, such a shrill cry the unhappy bride intones. Why this futile longing for the bed you have lost? It will carry you to an early grave. Do not pray for that. Your husband services a new bed, and that is his affair. Do not fret. Zeus will see this right. Do not weep so much, mourning for your lost husband.
O great Themis and Lady Artemis, do you see what I suffer? Though I bound him with mighty oath, that perjurer my husband, I wish I could see him and his bride grind down to nothing, house and all, who have dared me wrong to first. Father, city from which I am torn away after I killed my brother in cold blood for him.
Do you hear what she says? Crying out to Themis, we evoke in prayer, and to Zeus, the caretaker of oaths for the human race. There is no way that my mistress will vent her anger in some small way.
Is there any way you could get her to come out to see us and hear the sound of our words spoken in comfort? If only she would somehow put aside her deeply felt anger and distemper, I am eager to help those dear to me. But please go in and bring her here out of the house. Repeat our words there, spoken from the heart. Hurry before she hurts anyone inside. Her grief is stirred up to such a pitch.
I will try, but I am afraid I will not persuade my mistress. Still, I do not begrudge you the effort. Yet it's with the look of a lioness who has just given birth that she glares at the servants, or like a bull when anyone ventures near her, trying to bring a word of solace. You would not be wrong in saying they were fools, not wise at all, those men of earlier times who invented songs for festivals, feasts, and dinner parties, joyful sounds full of life. But no one has found a way with music on the lyre with all its strings to stop the hateful torments that people suffer, deaths and terrible fates that bring down our homes. And yet, it would help us all to be able to cure sadness with songs. When there is a plentiful feast, why lift the voice aimlessly? The fullness of the table has delight enough in itself for most of us.
I heard the sounds of laments, full of despair. She cries out shrill, sad sounds of mourning at the betrayer of her marriage bed, her evil husband. For the injustice that she suffers, she invokes Themis, keeper of oaths, daughter of Zeus, who brought her into Greece from a faraway land, over the sea by night, through Pontius Gate, hard to pass.
Women of Corinth, I have come out of the house so that you will not hold anything against me. I know that many people are standoffish, some in the privacy of home and others in the public sphere. Some people, because they are shy, and others and have acquired the ill repute of indifference. There is no justice in people's perception. There are some who, before they know a person inside out, hate him on sight, even if they have never been wronged by him. An outsider, in particular, must conform to the city, a native too. I do not condone self-absorbed people, who through insensitivity irritate their neighbours. But for me, this unexpected disaster has wrecked my life. I'm cast adrift. I have lost all pleasure in living, and I want to die, my friends. The man who was everything to me, try to understand this, has turned out to be the vilest man alive, my own husband. Of all creatures that have life and reason, we women are the sorriest lot. First, we must at great expenditure of money buy a husband and even take on a master over our body. This evil is more galling than the first. And here is our most challenging contest, whether we will get a bad man or a good one. Besides, divorce is unsavoury for a woman, and it is not possible to say no to one's husband. And when she comes into new customs and rules, a woman must be prophet of what she could never have learnt at home. How best to deal with her marriage partner. And if we get it worked out, and a husband shares our life with us, and he bears the yoke without violence, life is to be envied. Otherwise we are better off dead. But the man, when he is bored with things at home, he can just go out to ease the weariness of his heart. But we have just one person to look to. They say that we live a life free of danger at home while they face battle with the spear. How wrong they are. I would rather stand 3 times in the line of battle than once bear a child. But the same story does not apply to you and me. You have this city and your father's home, enjoyment of life and the companionship of friends, but alone and without a city, I am abused by my husband, carried off as plunder from a foreign land. I have no mother, no brother, no relative to offer me a safe haven from this disaster. I ask you this one small favour. If some way or means can be found to make my husband pay for this abuse, and the father of the bride, and the bride herself, keep it silent. For a woman, in all other things, is full of fear and a coward when it comes to looking on deeds of valour and the sword. But when she is wronged in her marriage, there is no heart more bloodthirsty.
I will do this. It is right your husband should pay, Medea. I am not surprised that you grieve over your loss. But I see Creon, king of this country, coming, a messenger of some new proclamation.
You there, with the scowl on your face, raging against your husband, Medea, I command you to leave this land, taking your 2 children with you. Do not delay. Of this sentence of banishment, I am both judge and jury, and I will not go back home again until I have cast you outside the borders of my country.
Aye, I am ruined, desperate. My enemies off, unfurling all the sails, and there is no clear landing place from ruin. But still, though I am in dire straits, I want to know the reason. Why? Why are you banishing me from this country, Creon?
I am afraid of you. No need to cover up my reasons, in case you do some irreparable harm to my daughter. Many factors contribute to my dread. You are innately clever and skilled in many evils, and you are grieved because your husband has been taken from you. I hear that you are making threats against the father of the bride, the bridegroom and the bride, to do us some injury. This is the news they bring me. I shall take precautions against all this. It is better to suffer your hatred, madam, than to be soft now and regret it later.
This is not the first time, Creon, but over and over again, people's opinion has injured me and done me great harm. A man who has full use of his faculty should not educate his children in any special skills. Apart from the reputation they get for being unproductive, they will reap the enmity of citizens. If you try to show some clever innovation to the inept, you will seem useless and hardly skilled at all. If people in the city suspect you of being superior to those they believe ingenious, you will irritate them. And I share in this fate myself. Because I have skills, I suffer the enemy of some, and to others I am a rival. But I am not so very clever. And then you are afraid of me. What harm can you suffer from me? It is not in my power. Don't be afraid of me, Creon, to do wrong to the royal family. What wrong have you done to me? You married your daughter to the man you chose for her. But my husband, I do hate him. You, I think, have acted with good sense in this. Now I do not begrudge you your good fortune. Give your daughter in marriage, prosper. But let me live in this land. I have been wronged, but I will keep quiet, defeated by my betters.
Your words are cajoling to my ears, but inside my heart, I am afraid you are forming some evil new plan. So much the less I trust you than before. For a quick-tempered woman, the same goes for a man, is easier to guard against than a silent, clever one. But you must leave at once. No more arguments. The matter is settled, and you are not so clever that you can stay here in our midst, being an enemy to me.
No, please! At your knees, I beg you in the name of the new bride!
You are wasting words. You will never get your way.
But will you drive me away and not respect my prayers?
Yes, because I care less for you than for my own family.
Oh, homeland. How deeply I remember you.
Yes, after my children, it is by far the dearest thing to me.
Aye, mortal affections, how great an affliction they are.
That, I think, depends on the circumstances.
Oh, Zeus, never forget who is responsible for this.
Go, you foolish woman, and relieve me of my troubles.
I am in trouble and need no more struggles.
Soon you will be forced out at the hands of my guards.
Not that, I beg you, Creon.
Apparently you are going to make a scene, madam.
I will go into exile. It was not for that I supplicated you.
Why then are you trying to coerce me? Let go of my hand.
Just one day. Let me stay for one day and make plans how we will manage in exile and find resources for my children, since their father does not put his children's welfare first. Pity them. You are a father too. You have a child, and it's natural for you to feel kindly toward them. I'm not concerned for myself if I have to go into exile, but it breaks my heart if they are to suffer deprivation.
My nature is not at all tyrannical, and on many occasions in showing respect I have suffered for it, and even now I see that I am making a mistake, madam. But still I will grant you this. But I warn you, if the coming light of the sun finds you and your children inside the borders of this country, you will die. That is my final word. It will not be taken back. Now, if stay you must, stay for one day. You cannot do any dreadful deed of which I am in terror.
Unhappy woman, unhappy for your miseries, where will you turn, to what host for shelter? Or what home or land will you find to rescue you from shipwreck? A god has brought you into an unpassable surge of woes, Medea.
Things have gone wrong at every turn. Who can deny it? But this is not how it will be. Don't even think it. There are still trials for the newlyweds and for their kin, no small troubles. Do you think that I would ever have fawned on him if not to get something or with some plan in mind? I would not even have spoken to him or touched his hands. He has reached such a state of recklessness that though he could have destroyed all my plans by forcing me out of the country, he has allowed me to remain this one day, in which I will turn 3 of my enemies into corpses. The father, the daughter, and my husband. I have many ways to kill them. I do not know which to try first, my friends. Whether I should set the bridal chamber on fire or thrust a sharp sword through her liver in silence going into the house where the bed is laid. But there is one thing in the way. If I am caught entering the house in secret and carrying out my scheme, I will die and become a laughingstock to my enemies. Best the straight route in which I am most skilled, to take them off with poisons. So far, so good. And then they are dead. What city will take me in? What friend abroad will offer me asylum and a secure home and save my life? There is none. Let me wait a short time, in case some tower of strength will occur to me, and then with deceit and in silence proceed to the murder. But if I am driven by resourceless misfortune, I will myself take the sword, even if I must die, and kill them. I will go to such an extreme of daring. No! By the mistress I worship most of all and have chosen as my helpmate, Hecate, dwelling in the inmost recesses of my hearth. No one will bruise and batter my heart and get away with it. I will make their marriage bitter and painful, bitter the royal connection and my exile from this land. But come, spare nothing of what you know, Medea, planning and scheming. Go now to the edge. This is a contest for heroes. You see what you suffer. You must not be a laughing stock to these sons of Sisyphus and this marriage of Jason. You who are born of a noble father, son of the sun god. But you know all that. And besides, we are women, most helpless for the good, but skilled craftsmen of all that is evil.
Backward flow streams of holy rivers in justice, and things are all turned back. For men's counsels are deceitful, and the pledge taken in the god's name is no longer firmly fixed. New tales will give glory to my life. Honor is coming to the female of the species. Discordant rumors will let women go.
The muses will cease from their songs of ages past and their paeans of our faithfulness. Not to our mind has Phoebus, the leader of tunes, granted the inspired song of the lyre, for I could sing a song in response to the race of men. But long life has much to tell of our side and of men's.
You sailed from your father's home with maddened heart between the double rocks of the sea, and you live on foreign soil. Abandoned with no man in your marriage bed, poor woman, now in exile from this land. You are driven away without rights.
But the grace of oaths has gone. Respect no more abides in the vast lands of Hellas. But it has flown to the skies, and you no more have the house of your father to shelter you, poor woman, from troubles. And over the bed another queen more powerful stands now in the chamber.
This is not the first time, but over and over again, I have seen how utterly stupid an intransigent temper can be. You had the chance to stay in this country and keep your home by patiently putting up with what your betters decide. But now you have had your say, and for it, you are to be deported. It makes no difference to me. Never let up saying that, oh, Jason is the vilest man alive. But for what you have said against the royal family, think yourself lucky to be punished with exile. Now, I was constantly trying to assuage the passions of the rulers in their anger, and I wanted you to stay. But you could not control your craziness, never letting up on your abuse of the royal family. See, this is why you are to be exiled from this land. Still, in spite of this, I have not yet come to renounce my loved ones, but because I care for your well-being, woman, so that you will not go into exile with the children in need or wanting for anything. Yeah, exile brings many problems in its wake. Even if you hate me, I could never think badly of you.
You utterly vile. This is the worst charge I have to say against your total lack of manliness. You have come to me, you who are most hateful to the gods and to me and to the whole human race. This is not daring. This is not courage to abuse your loved ones and look them in the face. This is the most virulent of all human sicknesses, shamelessness. Still, you have done me a favour in coming. I will lighten my grief by reviling you, and you will feel the sting in hearing it. I will begin at the beginning. I saved your skin, as all the Greeks know who boarded the Argo with you, when you were sent to master the fire-breathing bulls with yokes and to sow the deadly field, and the dragon which guarded the golden fleece and never sleeping protected it with many coils. I killed it and held up the light of safety for you. As for me, after betraying my father and my home, I came to Iolcus near Pelion with you, eager but not prudent. Then I killed Pelias, in the way that he would die most tragically at the hands of his own children, and I confounded their entire household. And you, After receiving this from me, you, the vilest man alive, you have betrayed me, and you have made a new marriage, although you already have children. If you were still childless, you could be excused for craving another marriage bed. Gone is the faith of oaths. I cannot understand whether you believe the old gods are no longer in power, or that new covenants are established for men today, since you must know that you have not kept your oath to me. Right, and how fervently you were taken, and these knees. How futilely I was clung to in supplication by an evil man. I have lost my hopes. Listen, I will share with you as if you were a friend. And what will I get out of it? Still, under questioning, you will appear more shameless. Now, where will I turn? To my father's house, which I betrayed for you along with my native land when I came here, or to the unhappy daughters of Peleus. They would be delighted to take me in. I murdered their father. This is how it is. I have made myself an enemy to my loved ones at home, the very ones I should not have hurt. In helping you, I have enemies. And for this, you have made me an icon of Greek womanhood. I have in you a wonderful husband and faithful to me. Oh, the pity of it if I must go into exile, cast out of this country without friends. A lonely mother with 2 lonely children, a fine reproach to the new bridegroom that your children are homeless beggars, and the woman who saved your life. Oh, Zeus. Why have you given us a clear test of gold to tell which is counterfeit, but of men? Where to identify an evil one would be useful. There is no such mark on his body.
I must, it seems, practice my rhetorical skills and, like the skillful captain of a ship, shortening my sails, outrun the blasts of your tongue-lashing woman. And since you make such a mountain of it, I think that Kypris, god of love, was the savior of my expedition. She was the only one of gods or men. You have a subtle mind. And it would be tedious to go through every detail of the story. How with his inescapable arrows, love compelled you to save me. Still, I will not put too fine a point on it. However much you have benefited me, all well and good. But you got certainly more out of saving me than you put in, as I will demonstrate. First, you make your home in Greece instead of an alien land, and you experience justice and the rule of law, not merely brute force. All the Greeks are aware that you are a wise woman and you have fame. If you still lived at the ends of the earth, no one would know your story. For me, let me have no gold in my home. Give me no song to sing sweeter than Orpheus's if my fate is to be unknown. This much I had to say about my labors. You are the one who turned our discussion into a contest. Now, the reproaches you heap on my royal marriage? Here, I will prove that I did the right thing and showed good sense. And finally, that I am a great benefactor to you and my children. Let me finish. When I arrived here from the land of Iolcus, dragging with me many useless encumbrances, what luckier opportunity could I have found than, as a refugee, to marry the king's daughter? It's not what's eating you, that I hated my marriage to you, was infatuated by a desire for my new bride. And not that I had a craving for more and more children. The ones I have are enough, and I am satisfied with them. But so that, and this is the point, we might live well and not be in need. I am well aware that even a friend shuns a poor man and stays out of his way. And I wanted to bring up children worthily of my house and father brothers to your children and put them on equal footing and join the family so that we could live well. What do you need with children? It's in my interest to help my living children with future offspring. Have I made bad plans? You would not say so if the marriage bed did not gnaw at you. But you have reached a point, you women, that if your marriage is in good order, you think you have it all. But if anything goes wrong in your marriage, the best and finest things you count as their opposite. Yeah, there should be some other way for men to produce children. Women should not have to exist at all. And then humanity would be saved a lot of trouble.
Jason, you have given a very effective speech, but still to me, even if I speak out of character, you seem, in abandoning your wife, not to be doing the right thing.
In many ways, I am different from most people. For in my estimation, anyone who is dishonest but speaks well deserves the greatest censure. In his confidence that he can conceal his injustice with rhetoric, he has the heart for any wrong. But he is not so very clever. And you, then, do not try your specious argument with me, for one world will lay you flat. You should, if you were not despicable, have made this marriage only after convincing me, and not in secret from your loved ones.
Yes, of course. You would have been a fine Confederate in this plan if I had told you of the marriage, which even now you do not have the mettle to put aside the great anger in your heart.
That is not what stopped you. But your foreign marriage was not turning out glorious enough for you as you approach old age.
You may be certain of this. It was not because of the woman that I made the marriage into the royal family, which I now enjoy, but just as I said before, wanting to give you security and to father royal brothers for my children, a support for my house.
I pray never to have a happy life that is painful to me, nor wealth that eats away at my heart.
You know how to change your prayer and appear wiser, huh? Pray that good things should never seem painful to you, and being well off, not to think that you are suffering misfortune.
Carry on with your abuse, since you have a way out. But I am abandoned and exiled from this country.
It's your own choice. Don't blame anyone but yourself.
And what did I do? Get married and abandon you?
You uttered curses against the royal house.
Yes! And to your house I really am a curse.
I will not carry on this quarrel any longer. But if you want to take me up on my offer of money for the children or your own exile, say so. I am ready to be generous to you and send letters to friends abroad who will take care of you. You are a fool if you refuse my offer, woman. Put aside your venom and you might get somewhere.
We will not be making any use of your friends. I will not take anything from you. Don't give me anything. The gift of a bad man brings no pleasure.
I call the gods to witness that I want to help you and the children in every way I can. My generosity, not enough for you. Your stubbornness, you push your friends away. You hurt yourself all the more.
Go! Desire for your new bride overcomes you when you spend too much time away from the house. Get on with your marriage! Perhaps with God's help it will be said that you have made a marriage that you will soon regret.
Love coming on too strong does not give glory or virtue to men. But if Cryptis comes in moderation, no other goddess is so gracious. Never, O goddess, let it fly at me an inescapable arrow from your golden bow after you drench it in desire.
But I pray that composure be my friend, the finest gift of the gods. Dreaded Cypris, never hit me with quarrelsome angers and insatiable strife, after stinging my heart for another bed, but honouring a match free of conflict, wisely discern women's love.
Fatherland, home, let me be not stateless, leading a life without means, hard to get through, full of the most pitiable sorrows. Let me die, yes, die, before reaching that day. Of troubles there is no other worse than separation from one's native land.
We have seen it, and do not have this story from others to reflect upon. No city, no friend pities you as you suffer the most terrible of sufferings. Without grace may he perish who does not treat his loved ones honourably, unbolting his heart in pure love. He will never be a friend of mine.
Medea, hello. For no one knows a better way than this to address friends and wish them well.
Hello to you too, Aegeus, son of Pandion the Wise. What brings you to this country?
I have just come back from the time-honored oracle of Phoebus Apollo.
And why did you visit the oracular navel of the world?
To ask how I might get a child.
Dear gods, are you still childless at your time of life?
Yes, we are childless through an affliction from some deity.
Do you have a wife, or do you keep a celibate bed?
I share my bed with my wife.
Well, what then did Phoebus tell you about children?
Words wiser than a man can understand.
Are you permitted to share with me the god's message?
Oh yes, since it needs a discerning mind.
What then did the oracle respond? Tell me if I'm allowed to hear.
Not to loose the projecting foot of my wine sack.
Until after you do what, or reach what country?
Until I come again to my own home.
Why then are you passing through this country?
There is a man named Pythias, king of Trozen.
The son, it is said, of Pelops, a most God-fearing man.
Yeah, I want to communicate the god's oracle to him.
Yes, for he is a prudent man and skilled in such things.
And he is, besides, the most friendly of my allies.
May you fare well and gain your heart's desire.
But why do I see your face and complexion so wasted?
Aegeus, my husband is the world's most wicked man.
What are you saying? Tell me clearly why you are downcast.
Jason wrongs me, though I have done nothing to him.
What has he done? Tell me everything.
He has taken a new wife to be mistress of his house over me.
He would not have dared such a despicable act.
You may be sure he did. And we who were loved before are now rejected.
Did he fall in love or grow weary of his marriage to you?
Yes, very much in love. He is disloyal to his family.
Let it go then, if, as you say, he is wicked.
He has fallen in love with marrying into a royal family.
And who is the father of the bride? Finish the story.
Creon, who rules this country of Corinth.
No wonder you are upset, my lady.
I am ruined. And besides that, I am driven into exile.
By whom? This is yet another new tragedy.
Creon has banished me from Corinth.
And Jason permits it? I don't approve of that.
He says he does not, but he is willing to put up with it. But I beg you by your beard, and I fall suppliant at your knees, pity me. Pity me in my despair, and do not let me be driven out destitute, but take me in to share your home and country. And then, with the gods' help, I pray your desire for children will bear fruit, and you yourself die happy. You do not know what a lucky find you have found in me. I will put an end to your childlessness and help you become a father. I know how to concoct a potent elixir.
There are many reasons that I am eager to grant you this favor, my lady. First, out of reverence for the gods. And then, in the hope of children whose birth you predict. For I am in utter despair over it. This is how it is with me. If you come to my land, I will do my best as a man of honor to receive you as my guest. This much I will promise you, Medea. I am not prepared to give you escort from this place, but if on your own you come to my home, you will remain there under protection, and I will not deliver you up to anyone. But you must make your way from this country. I want to be free from blame in the eyes of my hosts here.
Yes, I will do that. But if there could be a pledge to me of these things, I will have everything I need from you.
Don't you trust me? What is troubling you?
I trust you, but the house of Peleus is my enemy, and so is Creon. If you are bound by an oath, you will not hand me over to them if they try to take me away from your country. But if you come to terms in words only, without an oath to the gods, you could become their friend, and you might yield to their heralds. For I am in desperate straits, and they have all the wealth and royal power.
I see you are taking every precaution. If you think it's best, I will not refuse to do as you ask. This way things will be safer for me too. I will have a pretext to offer your enemies, and you will be more secure. Bring on the gods.
Swear by the plane of earth and Helios the sun, father of my father, and add the whole race of gods.
To do and avoid doing what? Put it into words.
Never yourself to cast me out of your country, nor if anyone else of my enemies desires to take me away, ever to give me up of your own free will.
I swear by earth and the bright light of Helios and all the gods to abide by your words.
It is sufficient. And if you do not keep your word, what will you suffer?
What happens to all men who break their oaths?
Farewell on your journey. All is well. I will come to your city as soon as possible, when I have done what I intend to do and achieve what I desire.
May Lord Hermes, son of May, the kindly escort, guide you to your home, and may you accomplish what you desire, Aegeus, because you have proven to me that you are a good and generous man.
O Zeus and justice, daughter of Zeus and light of the sun, I shall be victorious over my enemies now, my friends. I have set out upon my journey. Now I have hope that my enemies will pay the price, for where I was most in trouble, this man appeared as a safe haven of my plans. To him I shall attach a cable to guide me there, going to the city and fortress of Pallas Athena. And now I shall tell you all my plans. Hear my words, though there is no pleasure in them. I will send one of my servants to Jason, asking him to come into my sight. And when he comes, I will speak to him with ingratiating words, how I agree with him in all these things, and everything is fine. This royal marriage he has made after betraying me. And I will say that it is advantageous and sensible. But I will beg for my children to stay here. Not that I would leave my children in hostile territory for my enemies to abuse, but so that with deceit I may kill the king's daughter. For I shall send my children with gifts in their hands, bringing them to the bride, asking for reprieve from exile, a finely woven dress and a tiara of beaten gold. And if she takes them in her hands and puts them on her flesh, she and anyone who touches her will die a horrible death. So potent are the poisons I will smear on the gifts. After this, it is a brand new story. I grieve over the deed I must do after this, for I shall kill my children. There is no one who will rescue them, and after confounding Jason's whole house, I shall leave the country in flight from the murder of the children I love, after daring a most unholy deed. For it is not tolerable to be laughed at by my enemies, friends. Let it pass. What good is life to me? I have no homeland. I have no home as a refuge from evils. I made my mistake when I abandoned my father's house, won over by the words of a Greek man who will, with the gods' help, pay for this. The children born from me he will never see again them alive for the rest of his life. And he will not father a child from the newly wedded bride, since she, the wretch, must die wretchedly through my poisons. Let no one think that I am mean or weak, nor peaceful, but of the other sort, a weight upon my enemies, but to my friends most kind. It is to such people the heroic way of life belongs.
Since you have shared this story with us and in our desire to help you and in keeping with human values, we beg you not to do this.
I will not change my mind. I understand why you would say this. You are not suffering abuse as I am.
Will you dare to kill your own flesh and blood, Medea?
Yes. This will cause my husband to feel the most pain.
But you would be the sorriest of women.
Never mind. All other words are in vain. Go and bring Jason here, for we rely on you in all confidential matters. Tell him nothing of my decisions, if you care for the well-being of your mistress and are a real woman.
Descendant of Erechtheus, wealthy, of old and children of the blessed gods, from a land holy and unconquered, feeding on most glorious wisdom, always stepping delicately through the brightest air. There once, they say, the 9 muses of Perea gave birth to golden harmony.
They sing the tale that Cypris, drawing water at the streams of fair-flowing Kephisos, breathes gentle, sweet-smelling auras of winds over the land, and always putting on her hair a fragrant garland of rose blossoms, she sends the loves, co-workers with wisdom, helpers of every sort of excellence.
How then will the city of holy rivers, the land that gives safe passage to friends, welcome you, child killer, not holy with the others? Picture the blow to the children. Picture the murder you are committing. Do not, at your knees, in every way, we beseech you, do not kill your children.
Where will you get the boldness of mind to confer upon your hand our heart that terrible daring? And how, when you cast your eyes on the children, will you take part in their murder without weeping? No, you cannot when your children fall begging, wet from your hand in their blood, keeping an iron-willed heart.
I have come at your bidding, for even though you hate me, I shall not fail you. I will hear what it is you want from me now, woman.
Jason, I ask you to forgive me for the things I said before. You're used to putting up with my temper, since so many acts of love have passed between us. I have gone over the arguments with myself, and I reproached myself. Stubborn woman! Why do I rave and show hatred to those who wish me well, and make myself an enemy to the rulers of this country and to my husband, who is doing the most advantageous things for us in marrying royalty and fathering brothers for my children? Shall I not give up my anger? What is wrong with me? The gods provide well. Don't I have children? Don't I know that I am a refugee in need of friends? In contemplating these things, I realized I was suffering delusion and that my rage was in vain. I accept it now. You seem to me to be acting logically in bringing us this marriage alliance, and I was foolish. I should have taken part in the arrangements, and joined you in the ceremony and stood by the bed and taken delight in your bride as a member of the family. But we are what we are, we women. I will not say evil, but you should not copy our faults. Don't repay our craziness in kind. I give up and admit that I was wrong then. But now I have come to a better way of thinking. Children, come out of the house. Greet your father and speak to him with me and give up our earlier hostility to become friends again, along with your mother. We have made a truce and our anger is over. Take his right hand. Ah, me for our troubles. Secret sorrows flood into my mind. My children, will you live for a long time to stretch out your dear arms in this way? Ah, I am near tears and full of fear. At long last I have put aside the strife with your father, and tears fill my tender sight.
And for me too, tears well up in my eyes. I pray there will be no greater sorrows than the present ones.
These things I approve of, woman, and I do not blame you for the past. It is natural for the female of the species to give way to passions when a husband takes on another marriage. But your heart has changed for the better, and you have recognized the winning argument in your own time. This is the action of an intelligent woman. And children, it was not without sound planning that your father arranged greater security for you with God's help. For I think that one day, along with your brothers, you will be in the top rank of Corinthian society. When you grow up. The rest your father is taking care of, and any of the gods who are propitious to me. May I see you well grown, reaching your early manhood, superior to my enemies. But you there, why do your eyes glisten with tears? Why do you turn away your pale face and not gladly accept my words?
It's nothing. I was thinking about my children.
Cheer up now. Huh? I will do right by them.
Yes, as you say, I do not disbelieve your words. But a woman is a mere female, naturally given to tears.
Why then are you grieving over your children?
I gave birth to them, and when you prayed that they would live, pity came over me, wondering if this would happen. Some of the reasons I had for inviting you to this exchange have already been said. Now, let me tell you the rest. Since the royal family has determined to send me into exile, and I agree that this is best, I understand it very well, for me to not stay here as an encumbrance to you and the rulers of the country, since I appear to be their enemy, I will then lift anchor in exile from this land. But the children, they should be raised by your hand. Ask Creon not to exile them from his territory.
I'm not sure I can convince him, but still it is worth a try.
Then tell your new wife to ask her father not to exile the children from the country.
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm. And I think I can convince her.
No, you will if she is a woman like the rest. I will lend a hand in this effort too. I will send her gifts which are the most lovely in all the world. I am sure of it. By far the most lovely. A fine dress and a tiara of beaten gold, and my children carrying them. Quick, one of my servants, bring the ornaments. She will be happy, not just in one, but in countless ways. In you she has a most excellent husband. And she will also possess these ornaments which Helios, the son, father of my father, gave to his descendants. Take these wedding gifts into your hands, children, and give them to the happy royal bride. She will receive the most perfect gifts.
But Why, foolish woman, why do you deprive yourself of these, huh? Do you think the king's house is in need of dresses or gold? Keep them. Don't give them away. If my wife has any respect for me at all, she prefers me to gold. I'm certain.
Oh, no, you don't. The saying goes, gifts persuade the gods, and gold is stronger than 10,000 words among men. She has divine favour. Now the god will increase it. In her youth she has power. But to save my children from exile, I would give my life, not gold alone. But children, go into the wealthy house to your father's new wife, my mistress. Supplicate her. Beg her not to send you into exile. Hand her the ornaments. This is very important. Make sure that she takes these gifts into her own hands. Go, quickly. And may you succeed and be bearers of good news to your mother of what she wants to hear.
Now I have no more hopes for the children's life. No more. They go now to murder. The bride will receive the gifts. The poor woman will take the doom of the golden diadem. Onto her golden hair she will put death's adornment, taking it in her own hands. The beauty and unfading glow of the golden robe will persuade her to put on the well-crafted crown. She will dress as a bride now for the dead below. Into such a snare will she fall, and into the destiny of death, unhappy girl. She cannot escape her doom.
Sorry, you're on mute, Karina.
Sorry. But you, unhappy, ill-wedded son-in-laws of kings, unknowing to your children, are bringing doom, and to your wife, hateful death. Unhappy man, how far have you strayed from your destiny?
And most of all, I lament your grief, unhappy mother of children whom you will murder. Your own children, for the sake of the marriage bed which your husband lawlessly deserted, and now he dwells with another spouse.
Mistress, your children are pardoned from exile, and the royal bride happily took the gifts in her hands. There is peace from that quarter for your children. Why do you stand in confusion when the news is good? Why have you turned away your face and do not gladly accept this word from me?
I.
That is not in tune with my message.
I.
Have I announced a misfortune I was not aware of, and been cheated in my hope of being a bearer of good news?
You told me what you had to tell. I do not blame you.
Why then is your face downcast? Why are you crying?
It has to be, old man. For the gods and I. Yes. With faulty reasoning have devised these things.
Cheer up. You too will come home with your children's help.
I will send others home before that unhappy woman that I am.
You are not the only woman to be separated from her children. As humans, we must likely bear misfortunes.
I will do that. But go into the house and prepare the children for what they need for today. Children! You have a city and a home in which, when you have left me in my misery, you will dwell forever deprived of a mother. And I will go to another country, a refugee, where I cannot delight in you or see you happy. I will never adorn your nuptial bath and bride and marriage bed, never hold up the wedding torch. My own daring has wrecked my life. Dear children, all my care for you has gone to waste. What a waste! The toil which wore me out when I endured the hard, useless pangs of childbirth. Truly once, grief-stricken though I am now, I had high hopes in you, and you would care for me in my old age, and when I died, with your own hands you would tend me. Something we all hoped for. But now it's gone. It's all gone. My sweet expectation. For without you I will live a life of sorrow, agonizing for me. And you, with those dear eyes of yours, will never again look at your mother when you have gone away to another life. Aye! Why are your eyes staring at mine, children? Why do you smile that very last smile? Aye. What will I do? Oh, my heart is not in it, women, when I look at the gleaming eyes of my children. I could not do it. Goodbye, my plans of before. I shall take my children with me. Why should I abuse them to wound their father and have twice as many woes myself? I will not do it. Goodbye, my plans. Oh, but what is the matter with me? Do I want to be a laughing stock, letting my enemies go unpunished? These things must be endured. Damn my cowardice! How could I let soft words into my heart? Go into the house, children. Whoever is not permitted to partake of my sacrifice, stay away. I shall not let my hand grow slack. I do not. Do not, oh my heart, do not do these things. Let them alone, you miserable woman. Spare your children. Living there with me, they will delight you. No! By the avengers down in Hades. There is no way that I will leave my children to be abused by my enemies. They must die. And since they must, I who gave them birth will kill them. The plan is underway, and there is no escape. The crown is on her head. Dressed in the robes, the royal bride is in her death throes. I am certain of it. Now I shall set out upon a most sorrowful road, and I shall send them on one more sorrowful still. I want to speak to my children, dear children. Give your mother your right hand to kiss. Oh, dearest hand, dearest mouth. Form a noble face of my children. May you be happy, but there. Your father has ruined everything here. Oh, sweet embrace. Oh, soft skin and lovely breath of my children. Go on. I am no longer able to look at you. I am overcome by wrongs. I understand what evil I am about to do, but my wrath is stronger than even my thoughts, which is the greatest cause of the greatest wrongs of humankind.
Often before now I have gone through the more subtle stories, and I have pored over greater questions than women usually investigate. But we have a muse too who associates with us for sharing wisdom, not with all of us out of the many women. The number of us inspired with the gift of song is small.
I have come to believe that human beings who have never had experience of rearing children are much better off than those of us who are parents, because they never have to worry whether their children turn out to be a pleasure for humans or a misery. The childless are free from many troubles.
But those who have in their houses the sweet bloom of children, I see them worn down by care all the time. First, how they will bring up their children right, and how they will leave them a livelihood. And worse than this, it remains unclear whether their toil is spent on children who will turn out to be good or bad.
But one misfortune, last of all and worst for all humankind, I have to say it. Yes, suppose they have found sufficient living, and the children have grown up to young adulthood, and they have turned out to be good. If fate should have it so, along comes death carrying off their children to Hades.
How then does it profit, in addition to other woes that God's cast upon mortals, to bear this bitterest grief for the sake of the children?
My friends, I have been waiting a long time, expecting news of how events are progressing there. The messenger comes into view. Now I see one of Jason's servants coming this way. His agitated breathing shows that he brings news of a fresh disaster.
Medea, you have perpetrated a terrible criminal act. You must flee. Flee at once. Take ship or chariot, but go.
What has happened that I need to take off in this way?
The royal princess is dead just now. A victim of your poisons, and her father, Creon, is dead too.
That is wonderful news. You will have my eternal gratitude, and I will call you my friend.
What are you saying? Have you gone mad, woman? You have destroyed the royal household and are glad to hear it and have no fear of the consequences?
I too have something to say in answer to your words, but do not rush off, my friend. Tell your tale. How did they die? You will give me twice as much pleasure if they died horrible deaths.
When your two children came in with their father and went to the bridal chambers, we slaves were glad, those of us who had been distressed before by your troubles. From ear to ear, talk spread quickly that you and your husband had called a truce to your earlier quarrel. One kisses a hand, another the blonde heads of the children. I was beside myself with joy and followed along to the women's quarters with the children. And our mistress, to whom we pay respect, now instead of you, before she caught sight of your two children, held her eyes fixed eagerly on Jason. But then she covered up her face and turned away her pale cheek, sickened by the approach of the children. But your husband was trying to assuage the rancor and the venom of the young woman by telling her this: do not be angry at my family. Won't you stifle your rage and turn back your face? Hold your husband's loved ones as your own. Take the gifts and ask your father to revoke the sentence of exile from my children for my sake. And she, when she saw the fine garments, did not resist, but agreed with her husband in everything. And before father and children were far from the house, she scooped up the fine robe and put it on. Then she fitted the golden crown around her curls, and with the shimmering mirror arranged her hair, smiling at the lifeless image of her face. And then she gets up from her throne and walks through the room, stepping lightly on her delicate feet, overjoyed with the gifts, again and again casting an eye upon her arched foot. And suddenly there was a terrible sight to see. The color drains from her face, her step unsteady. She tries to go back, trembling from head to foot, and barely manages to stumble into her seat and avoid falling on the ground. Then an old woman, one of her slaves, thinking a fit from Pan or one of the gods had seized her, let out a wail before she saw white foam streaming from her mouth, and from her eyes the pupils turned back, and the blood was drained from her skin. And then there came a terrible cry in answer to the wail. At once, one slave ran to her father's rooms, and another to her new husband to tell them what was happening to the bride. The whole house reverberated with the sound of running feet. By now, a fast walker, turning the last lap of the course, would be reaching his goal, and the poor woman, her eyes glazed over, stirred from her silence, and with a deep groan was trying to get up, but a twofold trouble was warring against her. The crown of gold around her head was spewing out an eerie steam of ravenous fire, and the fine robes, gifts from your children, were eating away the poor girl's beautiful flesh. She stands up and tries to escape, but she is on fire. She shakes her head this way and that, trying
to throw off the crown, but all the more tightly the gold holds its bonds, and the fire, when she shook her head, burned twice as bright. Overcome by the disaster, she falls to the floor, unrecognizable to the sight of anyone but a parent. The condition of her eyes and her once lovely face were murky, and blood dripped from the top of her head with fire mixed in, and the flesh was dripping from her bones like sap from a pine through the hidden gnawing of the poisons. A terrible sight. We were all afraid to touch the body. We had her fate to teach us, but her poor father, in ignorance of the tragedy, suddenly bursts into the room and throws himself on the body. He cries out, and enfolding her in his arms, he kisses her and speaks to her. My poor child, which of the gods has mangled you so horribly? Who has made me an aged tomb to grieve for you? Ah, let me die with you, my child. And when he stopped his weeping and wailing, he wanted to raise up his old limbs, but was held back by the fine robes like ivy by the shoots of laurel. The struggle was hair-raising. He wanted to get up on his feet, but she held him fast. If he tried to use force, she tore the aged flesh from his bones. After a time, he was exhausted, and the poor man let go of life. He was not strong enough to fight the disaster. They lie dead together, child and aged father beside her. A tragedy that makes you want to cry. In my view, your part is beyond my telling. You will know how to escape punishment. Not for the first time, I find our loves are a shadow, and I am not too afraid to say that people who think they have everything figured out and are masters of logic, they are responsible for the greatest folly. No human being is happy. Strike it rich and you are luckier than your neighbor, but happy, never.
The god has inflicted many troubles on Jason today, and he deserves them. Unhappy daughter of Creon, done to death. How we pity you for your tragedy, all because of your marriage to Jason.
My friends, I have determined to do the deed at once. To kill my children and leave this land, and not to falter or give my children over to let a hand more hostile murder them. They must die, and since they must, I, who brought them into the world, will kill them. But arm yourself, my heart. Why hesitate to do these tragic yet necessary evils? Come, unhappy hand of mine, take the sword, take it! Move to the dismal turning point of life. Do not be a coward. Do not think of your children, how much you love them, how you gave them birth. For this one short day, forget your children and mourn tomorrow. For even if you kill them, still you love them very much. I am an unhappy woman.
Earth and all shining rays of the sun, look down on this God-forsaken woman before she lays her murderous kin-killing hand on her children. For they are sprung from your golden seed, and when the blood of God is shed by the hands of men, there is terror. But Zeus-born life, prevent her, stop her, drive her from this house. This wretched fury made murderous by the spirit of vengeance.
Toil over the young has come to nothing. For nothing you gave birth to, your dear children, you who left the most inhospitable entrance of the dark blue plashing rocks.
Wretched one, why does heavy anger of the heart and hateful murder fall upon you? It is hard for mortals to expiate the taint of kindred bloodshed upon the earth. Grief comes in tune from the gods, falling upon the murderers' houses. Do you hear the cry? Do you hear the children? Oh, miserable, ill-fated woman! Ah me, what will I do? Where will I run from my mother's hand?
I do not know.
Dear brother. We are lost.
Should I go into the house? I think I should stop the murder of the children.
Yes, by God's help us. We need you.
How close are we to being trapped beneath the sword?
Unhappy one, how you are made of rock or iron, who will kill the children whom you birthed with death by your own hand. I have heard of one woman before this who laid her hands on her own dear children. I know, maiden by the gods, when the wife of Zeus sent her wandering from her home.
She plunged, poor woman, into the sea for the impious death of the children. She stretched her foot over the seashore, and with her 2 children she lost her life. What could be still more awful? Marriage bed of women full of pain. How many things have you done to us humans? All of them bad.
You there. Woman standing here at the door. Is she still in the house? Medea, who has perpetrated these heinous crimes. Or has she taken flight? She would need to hide herself in the earth or grow wings to lift her body high into the air if she is to avoid revenge from the royal house. Or does she trust that after killing the rulers of the country, she will escape their kinsmen unpunished? Well, I'm not so concerned about her as about my children. The family she assaulted will take care of her. I have come to save my children's lives in case Creon's relatives try to do something to them, exacting vengeance for their mother's godless murders.
Poor man, do you not know what depths of evil you have come? Jason, or you not have uttered those words?
What is it? Does she intend to kill me too?
Your children are dead, killed by their mother's hand.
No! What are you saying? Woman, you have doomed me.
You need to know that your children are gone.
Where did she kill them? Inside the house or outside?
Open the gates and you will see your murdered children.
Hurry, unlock the doors! Now! Servants, unfasten the bolts so that I may see the 2 disasters. My children are dead. And her, I'll make her pay.
Why are you shaking the doors and trying to force them open? To find the bodies and me the perpetrator. You are wasting your effort. If you need anything from me, say so. But you will never touch me with your hand. Such transport the sun god, father of my father, has given me. A defense against the hand of my enemies.
You abomination. You vilest, most hateful woman to the gods and to me and to the whole human race. You had the heart to take the sword to your own children, to whom you gave birth, and you have left me childless and devastated. You did these things. How can you still look on the sunlight and earth after daring the most appalling deed? Damn you! Now I see it. I didn't understand it then. When I brought you, so hideous a monster, into Greece, from your home and from that barbarous land, betrayer of your father, the country that reared you. The gods have hurled you as an avenging spirit against me. You killed your brother at the hearth and then boarded the beautiful ship Argo. That is where you started. But after marrying me and bearing my children, because of the marriage bed, you killed them. There's no Greek woman who would have dared such deeds, any of whom I could have married, but instead chose you. A marriage tie that has ruined me. A lioness, not a woman. With a temper more savage than Turanian Scylla. Not even 10,000 curses could sting you. Such boldness is in you. Go, you depraved murderer of your children. What is left to me but to cry out for my fate? I will not enjoy my new marriage and the children whom I fathered and brought up. I will never be able to speak to them alive. I have lost them.
I could prolong an answer to your words if Father Zeus were not aware what you have gotten from me and what you did in return. You were not going to disrespect your marriage to me and lead a happy life, ridiculing me. And the royal bride and Creon who arranged the marriage for you were not going to exile me from the country and get away with it. Remember this. And go ahead. And call me lioness if you like, and Scylla, dwelling in the Turanian land. I have wrenched your heart as I had to do.
You will suffer too, and share in this tragedy.
You can be certain of that. But the pain is pleasure if you do not laugh.
Ah, children! What a terrible mother you have had.
Oh, children, you were destroyed by your father's disease.
My right hand did not strike them.
But your abuse and your new marriage.
You thought the marriage bed was worth your children's lives?
Do you think this is a trivial wrong for a woman?
If she is a good woman, but to you, nothing is good.
The children are dead. This will sting you.
They are a pollution to you!
Gods know who began this tragedy.
Then they will know the vileness of your heart.
Hate me! I, too, hate your irritating voice.
And I yours. The separation is easy.
What then? I, too, am eager to make my departure.
Allow me to bury my children and mourn over them.
No, never! I shall bury them with my own hand, taking them to the sanctuary of Hera Acraia, so that none of my enemies will defile them by tearing up their graves. And in this land of Sisyphus, I shall authorize a sacred festival and ritual to last forever for this unholy murder! And I shall go myself to the land of Erechtheus to live with Aegeus, the son of Pandion. But you, a coward, you will die a coward's death as you deserve. Struck on your head by a remnant of the wreck of the Argo, seeing a bitter end to your marriage and me.
May the avenger of children destroy you. And justice that haunts murderers.
What god or divine spirit would listen to you, an oath breaker and deceiver of guests?
Ah! Loathsome child murderer.
Go home and bury your wife!
I am going! Denied rights to my own children.
Do not mourn yet. Wait for old age.
Ah, dearest children.
To their mother, not to you.
And yet, you killed them.
To wound you.
I long to kiss the sweet lips of my children.
Now you speak to them. Now you love them. Before, you push them aside.
In the name of the gods, let me touch the soft skin of my children.
That will not happen. Your words are thrown into the empty air.
Ah, Zeus! Do you hear how I'm driven away and what I suffer from this loathsome child killer, this lioness? This is all that's left to me. All that I can do. To mourn and cry out to the gods and call the divine spirits to witness how she killed my children. keeps me from touching them with my hands and to bury their bodies. I wish I had never fathered them to see them destroyed by you.
Of many things Zeus in Olympus is keeper. Many other things the gods bring about against all reason, and what is looked for does not happen after all. Yet a god finds the way for the unexpected. That is how this story has ended.
Dear sister, you would think that we had already suffered enough for the curse of Oedipus. I cannot imagine any grief that you and I have not gone through. And now, have they told you of the new decree of our King Creon?
I have heard nothing. I know that 2 sisters lost 2 brothers, a double death in a single hour. And I know that the Argive army fled in the night, but beyond this, nothing.
I thought so. And that is why I wanted you to come here with me. There is something we must do.
Why do you speak so strangely?
Listen, Ismene. Creon buried our brother, Eteocles, and with military honours gave him a soldier's funeral, and it was right that he should. But Polynices? They fought as bravely and died as miserably. They say that Creon has sworn that no one shall bury him, no one should mourn for him. But this body must lie in the fields, a sweet treasure for carrion birds to find as they search for food. This is what they say, and our good Creon is coming here to announce it publicly. And the penalty? Stoning to death. The public squirrel. There it is, and now you can prove what you are. A true sister or a traitor to your family?
Antigone, are you mad? What could I possibly do?
You must decide whether you will help me or not.
I do not understand you. Help you in what?
Ismene, I am going to bury him. Will you come?
Bury him? You have just said that the new law forbids it.
He is my brother, and he is your brother too.
But think of the danger. Think what Creon will do.
Creon is not enough to stand in my way.
Ah, sister, Oedipus died, everyone hating him for what his own search brought to light. His eyes ripped out by his own hand. Anaiacaste died, his mother and wife at once. She twisted the cords that strangled her own life. And our 2 brothers died, each killed by the other's sword, and we are left. But, oh, Antigone, think how much more terrible than these our own death would be if we should go against Creon and do what he has forbidden. We are only women. We cannot fight with men, Antigone. The law is strong. We must give in to the law in this thing and in words. I beg the dead to forgive me, but I am helpless. I must yield to those in authority, and I think it is a dangerous business to be always meddling.
If that is what you think, I should not want you, even if you asked to come. You have made your choice. You can be what you want to be, but I will bury him. And if I must die, I say that this crime is holy. I shall lie down with him in death, and I shall be as dear to him as he to me. It is the dead, not the living, who make the longest demands. We die forever. You must do as you like, since apparently the laws of the god mean nothing to you.
They mean a great deal to me, but I have no strength to break laws that were made for the public good.
That must be your excuse, I suppose. But as for me, I will bury the brother I love.
Antigone, I am so afraid for you.
You need not be. You have yourself to consider, after all.
But no one must hear of this. You must tell no one. I will keep it a secret, I promise.
Oh, tell it. Tell everyone. Think how they'll hate you when it all comes out, if they learn that you knew all about it at the time.
So fiery. You should be cold with fear.
Perhaps. But I'm only doing what I must.
But can you do it? I say that you cannot.
Very well. When my strength gives out, I shall do no more.
Impossible things should not be tried at all.
Oh, go away, Ismene. I shall be hating you soon, and the dead will too, for your words are hateful. Leave me my foolish plan. I am not afraid of the danger. If it means death, it will be not the worst of deaths. Death without honour.
Go then, if you feel that you must. You are unwise, but a loyal friend indeed to those who love you.
Now the long blade of the sun, lying level east to west, touches with glory thieves of the seven gates. Open, unlidded eye of golden day, O marching light across the eddy and rush of Dirce's stream, striking the white shields of the enemy, thrown headlong backward from the blaze of morning.
Dionysius, their commander, roused them with windy phrases. He, the wild eagle streaming, insults above our land. His wings their shields of snow, his crest their marshalled helms.
Against our seven gates in a yawning ring, the famished spears come onward in the night. Before his jaws were sated with our blood, our pine fir took the garland of our towers. He was thrown back, and as he turned, great Thebes, no tender victim for his noisy power, rose like a dragon behind him, shouting war.
For God hates utterly the bray of bragging tongues, and when he beheld us smiling, their swagger of golden helms, the frown of his thunder blasted their first man from our walls.
We heard his shout of triumph high in the air, turn to a scream. Far out in a flaming he fell with his windy torch, and the earth struck him, and others storming in glory. Sorry, can I do that speech again? Right, muck up. We heard his shout of triumph high in the air, turn to a scream. Far out in a flaming he fell with his windy torch, and the earth struck him, and others storming in fury, no less than his, found shock of death in the dusty joy of battle.
7 captains at 7 gates yielded their clanging arms to the god that bends the battle line and breaks it. These 2 only, brothers in blood, face to face in matchless rage, mirroring each other's death, clashed in long combat.
But now, in the beautiful morning of victory, let Thebes of the many chariots sing for joy. With hearts for dancing, we'll take leave of war. Our temples shall be sweet with hymns of praise, and the long night shall echo with our chorus.
But now at last our new king is coming, Creon of Thebes, Monachus' son. In this auspicious dawn of his reign, what are the new complexities that shifting fate has woven for him? What is his counsel? Why has he summoned the old men to hear him?
Gentlemen, I have the honor to inform you that our ship of state, which recent storms have threatened to destroy, has come safely to harbor at last, guided by the merciful wisdom of heaven. I have summoned you here this morning because I know that I can depend upon you. Your devotion to King Laus was absolute. You never hesitated in your duty to our late ruler Oedipus, and when Oedipus died, your loyalty was transferred to his children. Unfortunately, as you know, his 2 sons, the princes Eteocles and Polynices, have killed each other in battle, and I, as the next in blood, have succeeded to the full power of the throne. I am aware, of course, that no ruler can expect complete loyalty from his subjects until he has been tested in office. Nevertheless, I say to you at the very outset that I have nothing but contempt for the kind of governor who is afraid, for whatever reason, to follow the course that he knows is best for the state. And as for the man who sets private friendship above the public welfare, I have no use for him either. I call God to witness that if I saw my country headed for ruin, I should not be afraid to speak out plainly. And I need hardly remind you that I would never have any dealings with an enemy of the people. No one values friendship more highly than I. But we must remember that friends made at the risk of wrecking our ship are not real friends at all. These are my principles, and at any rate, and that is why I have made the following decision concerning the sons of Oedipus. Eteocles, who died as a man should die, fighting for his country, is to be buried with full military honors, with all the ceremony that is usual when the greatest of heroes dies. But his brother, Polynices, who broke his exile to come back with fire and sword against his native city and the shrines of his father's gods, whose one idea was to spill the blood of his blood and sell his own people into slavery. Polynices, I say, is to have no burial. No man is to touch him or say the least prayer for him. He shall lie on the plain, unburied, and the birds and the scavenging dogs shall do with him whatever they like. This is my command, and you can see the wisdom behind it. As long as I am king, no traitor is going to be honored with the loyal man. But whoever shows by word and deed that he is on the side of the state, he shall have my respect while he is living and my reverence when he is dead.
If that is your will, Creon, son of Menocius, you have the right to enforce it. We are yours.
That is my will. Take care that you do your part.
We are old men. Let the younger ones carry it out.
I did not mean that. The sentries have been appointed.
Then what is it that you would have us do?
You will give no support to whoever breaks this law.
Only a crazy man is in love with death.
And death it is. Yet money talks, and the wisest have sometimes been known to count a few coins too many.
I'll not say that I'm out of breath from running, King, because every time I stopped to think what I would have to tell you, I felt like going back. And all the time a voice kept saying, "You fool, don't you know where you're walking? Straight into trouble." And then another voice, "Yes, but if you let somebody else get the news to Crown first, it will be worse than that for you." But good sense won out. At least I hope it was good sense. And here I am with a story that makes no sense at all. But I'll tell it anyhow, because as they say, what's going to happen is going to happen, and...
I come to the point. What have you to say?
Wait a minute. That depends on the source. Wait a minute. No, I'm lost.
Okay, hold on. So it's, I did not it. I did not see who did it.
Oh, yeah, I've got it. Page was over the wrong way.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Come to the point. What have you to say?
I did not it. I did not see who did it. You must not punish me for what someone else has done.
A comprehensive defense. More effective, perhaps, if I knew its purpose. Come. What is it?
A dreadful thing. I don't know how to put it.
Out with it.
Well, then, the dead man, Polynices, out there, someone new dust on the slimy flesh. Someone has given it burial that way and gone.
And the man who dared to do this?
I swear I do not know. You must believe me. Listen, the ground was dry, not a sign of digging. No, not a wheel track in the dust, not a trace of anyone. It was when they relieved us this morning and one of them, the corporal, pointed to it. There it was. The strangest. Look, the body just minded over with light dust. You see? Not buried really, but as if they'd covered it just enough for the ghost piece, and no sign of dogs or any wild animal that had been there. And then what a scene there was. Every man of us accosting the other. We all proved the other man did it. We all had proof that we could not have done it. We were ready to take hot iron in our hands, walk through the fire, swear by all the gods. It was not I. I do not know who it was, but if it was not I... Oh. And then, when this came to nothing, someone said a thing that silenced us and made us stare down to the ground. You had to be told the news, and one of us had to do it. We threw the dice, and the bad luck fell to me, so here I am. No happier to be here than you are to have me. Nobody likes me to be the man who brings bad news. I have been wondering, King, can it be that the gods have done this?
Ah! Stop! Must you doddering wrecks go out of your heads entirely? The gods. Intolerable. The gods favor this corpse. Why? How had he served them? Tried to loot their temples, burn their images, yes, and the whole state and its laws with it. Is it your senile opinion that the gods love to honor bad men? A pious thought. No. From the very beginning, there have been those who have whispered together, stiff-necked anarchists, putting their heads together, scheming against me in alleys. These are the men. And they have bribed my own guard to do this thing. Money. There's nothing in the world so demoralizing as money. Find that man, bring him to me, or your death will be the least of your problems. I'll string you up alive, and there will be certain ways to make you discover your employer before you die. And the process may teach you a lesson you seem to have missed. The dearest profit is sometimes all too dear. Depends on the source. Fortune won is often misfortune.
King, may I speak?
Your very voice distresses me.
Are you sure that it is my voice and not your conscience?
Oh, my God! He wants to analyze me now.
It is not what I say, but what has been done that hurts you.
You talk too much.
Maybe, but I've done nothing.
Sold your soul for some silver. That's all you've done.
How dreadful it is when the right judge judges wrong.
Your figures of speech may entertain you now, but unless you bring me that man, you will get little profit from it in the end.
Bring me the man. I'd like nothing better than bringing him the man. But bring him or not, you've seen the last of me here. At any rate, I am safe.
Numberless are the world's wonders, but none more wonderful than man. The stormy grey sea yields to his prows, the huge crests bear him high. Earth, holy and inexhaustible, is graven, with shining furrows where his ploughs have gone. Year after year, the timeless labour of stallions.
The light-boned birds and the beasts that cling to cover, the lithe fish lighting their reaches of dim water, are all taken, tamed in the net of his mind. The lion on the hill, the wild horse windy-maned, resigned to him, and his blunt yoke has broken the sultry soldiers of the mountain bull.
Words also, and thought as rapid as air, he fashions to his good use. Statecraft is his, and his the skill that deflect the arrows of snow, the spears of winter rain. From every wind he has made himself secure, from all but one, in the late wind of death cannot stand.
O clear intelligence force beyond all measure, O fate of man working both good and evil, when the laws are kept, how proudly his city stands. When the laws are broken, what of his city then? Never may the anarchic man find rest at my hearth. Never be it said that my thoughts are his thoughts.
What does this mean? Surely this captive woman is the Princess Antigone. Why should she be taken? Here is the one who did it. We caught her in the very act of burying him. Where is Creon? Just coming from the house.
What has happened? Why have you come back so soon?
King, a man should never be too sure of anything. I would have sworn that you'd not see me here again. Your anger frightened me so, and the things you threatened me with. But how could I tell then that I'd be able to solve the case so soon? No dice throwing this time. I was only too glad to come. Here is this woman. She is the guilty one. We found her trying to bury him. Take her then, question her, judge her as you will. I'm through with this whole thing now, and glad of it.
But this is Antigone. Why have you brought her here?
She was burying him, I tell you.
Is this the truth?
I saw her with my own eyes. Can I say more?
Details, come, tell me quickly.
It was like this. After those terrible threats of yours, King, we all went back and brushed the dust away from the body. The flesh was soft by now and stinking, so we all sat on an hill to windward and kept guard. No napping happened until the white round sun whirled in the centre of the round sky over us. Then suddenly a storm of dust reared up from the earth and the sky went out. The plain vanished with all its trees in the stinging dark. We closed our eyes and endured it. The whirlwind lasted a long time, but it passed. And then we looked, and there was Antigone. I have seen a mother bird come back to a stripped nest, heard her crying bitterly a broken note or two for the young ones stolen. Just so, when this girl found the bare corpse and all her love's work wasted, she wept and cried on heaven to damn the hands that had done this thing. And then she brought more dust and sprinkled wine 3 times for her mother's ghost. We ran and took her at once. She was not afraid, not even when we charged her with what she had done. She denied nothing. And this was a comfort to me, and some uneasiness, for it is a good thing to escape from death, but it is no great pleasure to bring death to a friend. Yet I always say there is nothing so comfortable as your own safe skin.
And you, Antigone, you with your head hanging, do you confess this thing?
I do. I deny nothing.
Sentry, you may go. Tell me briefly, had you heard my proclamation touching upon this matter?
It was public. Could I help hearing it?
And yet you dared defy this law.
I dared. It was not God's proclamation. That final justice that rules the world below makes no such laws. Your edict, King, was strong, but all your strength is weakness itself against the immoral, unrecorded laws of God. They are not merely now, they were and shall be operative forever, beyond man utterly. I knew I must die, even without your decree. I am only mortal. And if I must die, now before it is my time to die, surely this is no hardship. Can anyone living as I live, with evil all about me, think death less than a friend? This death of mine is of no importance. But if I had left my brother lying in death unburied, I should have suffered. Now I do not. You smile at me. Oh, Creon, Think me a fool if you like, but it may well be that a fool convicts me of folly.
Like father, like daughter, both headstrong, deaf to reason. She has never learned to yield. She has much to learn. The inflexible heart breaks first, the toughest iron cracks first, and the wildest horses bend their necks at the pull of the smallest curb. Pride in a slave? This girl is guilty of a double insolence, breaking the given laws and boasting of it. Who is the man here, she or I, if this crime goes unpunished? Sister's child, or more than sister's child, or closer yet in blood, she and her sister win a bitter death for this. Go, some of you, arrest Ismene. I accuse her equally. Bring her. You will find her snivelling in the house there. Her mind's a traitor. Crimes kept in the dark cry for light, and the guardian brain shudders by much worse than this in brazen boasting of barefaced anarchy.
Creon, what more do you want than my death?
Nothing. This brings me everything.
Then I beg you, kill me. This talking is a great weariness. Your words are distasteful to me, as I am sure that mine seem to you. And yet they should not seem so. I should have praise and honour for what I have done. All these men here would praise me, were their lips not frozen, shut with fear of you. And the good fortune of kings licensed to say and do whatever they please.
You are alone in that opinion.
No, they are with me, but they keep their tongues in leash.
Maybe. But you are guilty. And they are not.
There is no guilt in reverence for the dead.
But Eteocles, was he not your brother too?
My brother too.
And you insult his memory.
The dead man would not say that I insult it.
He would, for you honor a traitor as much as him.
His own brother, traitor or not, an equal in blood.
He made war on his country. Eteocles defended it.
Nevertheless, there are honours due all the dead.
But not the same for the wicked as for the just.
Oh, Creon, Creon, which of us can say what the gods hold wicked?
An enemy is an enemy, even dead.
It is my nature to join in love, not hate.
Oh, join them then. If you must have your love, find it in hell.
But see, Ismene comes. These tears are sisterly. The cloud that shadows her eyes rains down gentle sorrow.
You too, Ismene. Snake in my ordered house, sucking my blood stealthily. And all the time, I never knew that these two sisters were aiming at my throne. Ismene, do you confess your share in this crime or deny it? Answer me.
Yes, if she will let me say so, I am guilty.
No, Ismene, you have no right to say so. You would not help me, and I will not have you help me.
But now I know what you meant, and I am here to join you, to take my share of punishment.
The dead man and the gods who rule the dead know whose act this was. Words are not friends.
Do you refuse me, Antigone? I want to die with you. I too have a duty that I must discharge to the dead.
You shall not lessen my death by sharing it.
What do I care for life when you are dead?
Ask Creon. You're always hanging on his opinions.
You are laughing at me. Why, Antigone?
It is a joyless laughter, Ismene.
But can I do nothing?
Yes, save yourself. I shall not envy you. There are those who will praise you. I shall have honor too.
But we are equally guilty.
No more, Ismene. You are alive, but I belong to death.
Gentlemen, I beg you, observe these girls. One has just now lost her mind. The other, it seems, has never had a mind at all.
Grief teaches the steadiest minds to waver, King.
Yours certainly did when you assumed guilt with the guilty.
But how could I go on living without her?
You are. She is already dead.
But your own son's bride.
There are places enough for him to push his plow. I want no wicked women for my sons.
Oh, dearest Haman, how your father wronged you.
I've had enough talk, childish talk of marriage.
Do you really intend to steal this girl from your son?
No. Death will do that for me.
Then she must die?
Ah, you dazzle me. Enough of this talk. You there, take them away, guard them well, for they are but women, and even brave men run when they see death coming.
Fortunate is the man who has never tasted God's vengeance. For once the anger of heaven has struck, that house is shaken forever. Damnation rises behind each child like a wave cresting out of the black northeast, when the long darkness under sea roars up and bursts, drumming death upon the wind's whipped sand. I have seen this gathering sorrow from time long past loom upon Oedipus's children. Generation from generation takes the compulsive rage of the enemy god. So lately, this last flower of Oedipus' line drank the sunlight, and now a passionate word and a handful of dust closed up all its beauty. What mortal arrogance transcends the wrath of Zeus? Sleep cannot lull him, nor the effortless long months of the timeless gods. But he is young forever, and his house is the shining day of high Olympus. All that is and shall be, and all the past is his. No pride on earth is free of the curse of heaven.
The straying dreams of men may bring them ghosts of joy, but as they drowse, the waking embers burn them, or they walk with fixed eyes as blind men walk. But the ancient wisdom speaks for our time. Fate works most for woe with folly's fairest show. Man's little pleasure is the spring of sorrow.
But here is Haemon, king, the last of all your sons. Is it grief for Antigone that brings him here, and bitterness at being robbed of his bride?
We shall soon see, and no need of diviners. Son, you have heard my final judgment on that girl. Have you come here hating me, or have you come here with deference and with love, whatever I do?
I am your son, Father. You are my guide. You make things clear for me, and I obey you. No marriage means more to me than your continuing wisdom.
Good. That is the way to behave. Subordinate everything else, my son, to your father's will. This is what a man prays for, that he may get sons attentive and dutiful in his house, each one hating his father's enemies, honoring his father's friends. But if his sons fail him, if they turn out unprofitably, what has he fathered but trouble for himself and amusement for the malicious? So, you are right not to lose your head over this woman. Your pleasure with her would soon grow cold, Haman, Then you'd have a hellcat in bed and elsewhere. Let her find her husband in hell. Of all the people in this city, only she has had contempt for my law and broken it. You want me to show myself weak before the people or break my sworn word? No, and I will not. The woman dies. Yeah, I suppose she'll plead family ties. Well, let her. If I permit my own family to rebel, how shall I earn the world's obedience? Show me the man who keeps his own house in hand. He's fit for public authority. I'll have no dealings with lawbreakers, critics of the government. Whoever is chosen to govern should be obeyed, must be obeyed in all things, great and small, just and unjust. Oh, Haman, the man who knows how to obey, and that man only, knows how to give commands when the time comes. You can depend on him. No matter how fast the spears come, he's a good soldier. He'll stick it out. Anarchy. Anarchy. Show me a greater evil. This is why cities tumble and the great houses rain down. This is what scatters armies. No. Good lives are made so by discipline. We keep the laws then and the lawmakers, and no woman shall seduce us. If we must lose, let's lose to a man at least. Is a woman stronger than us?
Unless time has rusted my wits, what you say, King, is said with point and dignity.
Father, reason is God's crowning gift to man, and you are right to warn me against losing mine. I cannot say, I hope that I shall never want to say that you have reasoned badly. Yet there are other men who can reason too, and their opinions might be helpful. You are not in a position to know everything that people say or do or what they feel. Your temper terrifies them. Everyone will tell you only what you like to hear, but I, at any rate, can listen. And I have heard them muttering and whispering in the dark about this girl. They say no woman has ever so unreasonably died so shameful a death for a generous act. She covered her brother's body. Is this indecent? She kept him from dogs and vultures. Is this a crime? Death? She should have all the honor that we could give her. That is the way they talk out there in the city. You must believe me. Nothing is closer to me than your happiness. What could be closer? Must not any son value his father's fortune as his father does his? I beg you, do not be unchangeable. Do not believe that you alone can be right. The man who thinks that, the man who maintains that only he has the power to reason correctly, the gift to speak, to soul, a man like that, when you know him, turns out empty. It is not reason never to yield to reason. In blood time, you can see how some trees bend, and because they bend, even their twigs are safe, while stubborn trees are torn up, roots and all. And the same thing happens in sailing. Make your sheet fast, never slacken, and over you go, head over heels and under. And there's your voyage. Forget you are angry. Let yourself be moved. I know I am young, but please let me say this. The ideal condition would be, I admit, that men should be right by instinct, but since we are all too likely to go astray, the reasonable thing is to learn from those who can teach.
You will do well to listen to him, King. If what he says is sensible, and you, Haimon, must listen to your father, both speak well.
You consider it right for a man of my years and experience to go to school for a boy?
It is not right if I am wrong, but if I am young and right, what does my age matter?
You think it right to stand up for an anarchist?
Not at all. I pay no respect to criminals.
No. Then she is not a criminal.
The city proposes to teach me how to rule.
And the city proposes to teach me how to rule.
Who is it that's talking like a boy now?
My voice is the one voice giving orders in this city.
It is no city if it takes orders from one voice.
The state is the king.
Yes, if the state is a desert.
This boy, it seems, has sold out to a woman.
If you are a woman, my concern is only for you.
So, your concern in a public brawl with your father.
How about you in a public brawl with justice?
With justice, when all that I do is within my rights?
You have no right to trample on God's right.
Fool! Adolescent fool! Taken in by a woman.
You'll never see me taken in by anything vile.
Every word you say is for her.
And for you. And for me. And for the gods under the earth.
You'll never marry her while she lives.
Then she must die. But her death will cause another.
Another? Have you lost your senses? Is this an open threat?
There is no threat in speaking to emptiness.
I swear you'll regret this superior tone of yours. You are the empty one.
If you were not my father, I'd say you were perverse.
Oh, you girl-struck fool! Don't play at words with me.
I'm sorry. You prefer silence.
Now, by God! I swear, by all the gods in heaven above us, you'll watch it. I swear you shall. Bring her out! Bring that woman out! Let her die before his eyes. Here, this instant, with her bridegroom beside her.
Not here, no. She will not die here, King. And you will never see my face again. Go on raving as long as you've a friend to enjoy you.
Gone, gone. Creon, a young man in a rage is dangerous.
Let him do or dream to do more than a man can. He shall not save those girls from death.
These girls? You have sentenced them both?
No. You are right. I will not kill the one whose hands are clean.
But Antigone?
I will carry her far away, out there in the wilderness, and lock her living in a vault of stone. She shall have food, as the custom is, to absolve the state of her death. And there, let her pray to the gods of hell. They are her only gods. Perhaps they will show her an escape from death. Or she may learn, though late, that piety shown the dead is pity in vain.
Love, unconquerable, waster of rich men, keeper of warm lights and all-night vigil in the soft face of a girl, sea wanderer, forest visitor, and even the pure immortals cannot escape you. And mortal men and mortal man in his one day's dusk trembles before your glory.
Surely you swerve upon ruin. The just man's consenting heart, as you here have made bright anger strike between father and son. And none is conquered but love. A God's glance working the will of heaven, pleasure to her alone who mock us, merciless Aphrodite.
But I can no longer stand in awe of this, nor, seeing what I see, keep back my tears. Here is Antigone passing to that chamber where all find sleep at last.
Look upon me, friends, and pity me, turning back at the night's edge to say goodbye to the sun that shines for me no longer. Now sleepy death summons me down to Acheron, that cold shore. There is no bright stone there, nor any music.
Yet not unpraised, not without a kind of honour, you walk at last into the underworld, untouched by sickness, broken by no sword. What woman has ever found your way to death?
How often have I heard the story of Niobe, Tantalos' wretched daughter, how the stone clung fast about her, ivy close, and they say the rain fell endlessly and rifting snow fell. Her tears are never done. I feel the loneliness of her death in mine.
But she was born of heaven, and you are woman, woman born. If her death is yours, a mortal woman's, is this not for you glory in our world and in the world beyond?
You laugh at me. Oh, friends, friends, can you not wait until I am dead? Oh, thieves, oh, men many-charioted in love with fortune, dear spring of dirt, sacred Theban grove, by witness for me, denied all pity, unjustly just, and think a word of love for her whose path turns under dark earth, where there are no more tears.
You have passed beyond human daring and come at last into a place of stone where justice sits. I cannot tell what shape of your father's guilt appears in this.
You've touched it at last, that bridal bed, unspeakable horror of son and mother mingling, their crime, infection of all our family. O Oedipus, father and brother, your marriage strikes from the grave to murder mine. I have been a stranger here in my own land. All my life, the blasphemy of my birth has followed me.
Reverence is a virtue, but strength lives in established law. That must prevail. You have made your choice. Your death is the doing of your conscious hand.
Then let me go, since all your words are bitter, and the very light of the sun is cold to me. Lead me to my vigil, where I must have neither love nor lamentation, no song, but silence.
Oh, if dirges and planned lamentations could put off death, men would be singing forever. Take her, go. You know your orders. Take her to the vault and leave her alone there. If she lives or dies, that is her affair, not ours. Our hands are clean.
O tomb, vaulted bride bed in eternal rock, soon I shall be with my own again, where Persephone welcomed the thin ghost underground, and I shall see my father again, and you, mother, and dear Polynices, dearest indeed to me, since it was my hand that washed him clean and poured the ritual wine, and my reward is death before my time. And yet, as men's hearts know, I have done no wrong. I have not sinned before God, or if I have, I shall know the truth in death. But if the guilt lies upon Creon, who judged me, then I pray, may his punishment equal my own.
O passionate heart, unyielding, tormented still by the same winds.
Her guards shall have good cause to regret their delaying.
Ah, That voice you no reason to think voice of death.
I can give you no reason to think you are mistaken.
Thebes, and you, my father's gods, and rulers of Thebes, you see me now, the last unhappy daughter of a line of kings. Your kings led me away to death. You will remember what things I suffer, and at what men's hands, because I would not transgress the laws of heaven. Come, let us wait no longer.
All Danae's beauty was locked away in a brazen cell where the sunlight could not come. A small room, still as any grave, enclosed her. Yet she was a princess too, and Zeus, in a rain of gold, poured love upon her. O child, child, no power in wealth or war, or tough sea-blackened ships can prevail against untiring destiny.
And Dryas' son also, that furious king, bore the gods' prisoning anger for his pride. Sealed up by Dionysus in death's stone, his madness died among echoes. So at the last he learned what dreadful power his tongue had mocked, for he had profaned the revels and fired the wrath of the 9 implacable sisters that loved the sound of that flute.
And old men tell a half-remembered tale of horror done where a dark ledge splits the sea and a double surf beats on the grey shores. How a king's new woman, sick with hatred for the queen he had imprisoned, ripped out his 2 sons' eyes with her bloody hands, while grinning Ares watched the shuttle plunge 4 times, 4 blind wounds, crying for revenge. Crying, tears, and blood mingled, piteously born, those sons whose mother was of heavenly birth. Her father was the god of the north wind, and she was cradled by gales. She raced with young colts on the glittering hills and walked untrammeled in the open light. But in her marriage, deathless fate found means to build a tomb like yours for all her joy.
This is the way the blind man comes, princes, princes. Lockstep, 2 heads lit by the eyes of one.
What new thing have you tell us, old Tiresias?
I have much to tell you. Listen to the prophet, Creon.
I admit my debt to you. What have you to say?
Listen, Creon. I was sitting in my chair of augury at the place where the birds gather about me. They were all a chatter, as is their habit, when suddenly I heard a strange noise in their jangling, a scream, a whirring fury. I knew that they were fighting, tearing each other, dying in a whirlwind of wings clashing, and I was afraid. I began the rites of burnt offering at the altar, but Hephaestus failed me. Instead of bright flame, there was only the sputtering slime of the fat thigh flesh melting. The entrails dissolved in grey smoke. The bare bone burst from the welter, and no blaze. This was a sign from heaven. My boy described it, seeing for me as I see for others. I tell you, Creon, you yourself have brought this new calamity upon us. Our hearths and altars are strained with the corruption of dogs and carrion birds that glut themselves on the corse of Oedipus' son. The gods are deaf when we pray to them. Their fire recoils from our offering. Their birds of omen have no cry of comfort, for they are gorged with the thick blood of the dead. Oh, my son, these are no trifles. Think, All men make mistakes, but a good man yields when he knows his course is wrong and repairs the evil. The only crime is pride. Give in to the dead man then. Do not fight with a corpse. What glory is it to kill a man who is dead? Think, I beg you. It is for your own good that I speak as I do. You should be able to yield for your own good.
It seems that prophets have made me their especial province. All my life long, I have been a kind of butt for dull arrows of doddering fortune tellers. No, Tiresias. If the great eagles of God himself should carry him stinking bit by bit to heaven, I would not yield. I am not afraid of pollution. No man can defile the gods. Do what you will. Go into business, make money, speculate in India gold, get rich otherwise than by my consent to bury him. Tiresias, it is a sorry thing when a wise man sells his wisdom, lets out his words for hire.
Oh, Creon, is there no man left in the world
to do what? Come, let us have the aphorism.
No man who knows that wisdom outweighs any wealth?
As surely as bribes are baser than any baseness.
You are sick, Creon. You are deathly sick.
As you say, it is not my place to challenge a prophet.
Yet you have said my prophecy is for sale.
The generation of prophets has always loved gold.
The generation of kings has always loved brass.
You forget yourself. You are speaking to your king.
I know it. You are a king because of me.
You have a certain skill, but you have sold out.
King, you will drive me to words that I dare
Say
not.
them! Say them! Only remember, I will not pay you for them.
No. You will find them too costly.
No doubt. Speak. Whatever you say, you will not change my will.
Then take this and take it to heart. The time is not far off when you shall pay back corpse for corpse, flesh of your own flesh. You have thrust the child of this world into living night. You have kept from the gods below the child that is theirs. The one on a grave before her death, the other dead, denied the grave. This is your crime. And the furies and the dark gods of hell, and swift with terrible punishment for you. Do you want to buy me now, Creon? Not many days, and your house will be full of men and women weeping, and curses will be hurled at you from far, cities grieving for sons unburied, left to rot before the walls of Thebes. These are my arrows, Creon. They are all for you. But come, child, lead me home. Let him waste his fine anger upon younger men. Maybe he will learn at last to control a wiser tongue in a better head.
The old man has gone, King, but his words remain to plague us. I am old too, but I cannot remember that he was ever false.
That is true. It troubles me. It is hard to give in. But it's worse to risk everything for stubborn pride.
Creon, take my advice.
What shall I do?
Go quickly. Free Antigone from her vault and build a tomb for the body of Polynices.
You would have me do this?
Creon, yes, and it must be done at once. God moves swiftly to cancel the folly of stubborn men.
It is hard to deny the heart. But I will do it. I will not fight with destiny.
You must go yourself. You cannot leave it to others.
I will go. Bring axes, servants. Come with me to the tomb. I buried her. I will set her free. Quickly! My mind misgives. The laws of the gods are mighty, and a man must serve them to the last day of his life.
God of many names.
O Iacchos of Cadmean Semele, O born of the thunder, guardian of the west, regent of Eleusis' plain, O prince of Maenad Thebes, and the dragon field by rippling Ismenos.
God of many names.
The flame of torches flares on our hills. The nymphs of Iacchos dance at the spring of Castalia from the vine-closed mountain. Come, come in, Ivy. Evoe sings through the streets of Thebes.
God of many names.
Iacchos of Thebes, heavenly child, of Semele, bride of the thunderer, the shadow of plague is upon us. Come with clement feet, O come from Parnassos down the long slopes, across the lamenting water.
Yo, far, chamber of the throbbing stars, O purest amongst the voices of night, thou son of God, blaze for us.
Come with chloric rapture of circling Maenads who cry, Lo, Aichi!
Men of the land of Cadmos, you who live near Amphion's citadel, I cannot say of any condition of human life, this is fixed, this is clearly good or bad. Fate raises up, and fate casts down the happy and unhappy alike. No man can foretell his fate. Take the case of Creon. Creon was happy once, as I count happiness, victorious in battle, sole governor of the land, fortunate father of children nobly born. And now it has all gone from him. Who can say that a man is still alive when his life's joy fails? He is a walking, dead man. Grant him rich. Let him live like a king in his great house. If his pleasure is gone, I would not give so much as a shadow of smoke for all that he owns.
Your words hint at sorrow. What is your news for us?
They are dead. The living are guilty of their death.
Who is guilty? Who is dead? Speak.
Haman. Haman is dead, and the land that killed him is his own hand.
His father's or his own?
His own, driven mad by the murder his father had done.
Oh, Tiresias, Tiresias, how clearly you saw it all.
This is my news. You must draw what conclusions you can from it.
But look, Eurydice, our queen. Has she overheard us?
I have heard something, friends, as I was unlocking the gate of Pallas' shrine, for I needed help today. I heard a voice telling me of some new sorrow, and I fainted there at the temple with all my maidens about me. But speak again, whatever it is, I can bear it. Grief and I are no strangers.
Dearest lady, I will tell you plainly all that I have seen. I shall not try to comfort you. What is the use? Since comfort could lie only in what is not true. The truth is always best. I went with Creon to the outer plain where Polynices was lying. No friend to pity him, his body shredded by dogs. We made our prayers in that place to Hecate and Pluto, that they would be merciful, and we bathed the courts with holy water, and we brought fresh broken branches to burn what was left of it, and upon the urn we heaped up a towering barrow of the earth of his own land. And when we were done, we ran to the vault where Antigone lay on her couch of stone. And one of the servants had gone ahead, and while he was yet far off, he heard a voice grieving within the chamber, and he came back and told Creon. And as the king went closer, the air was full of wailing, the words lost, and he begged us to all make haste. Am I a prophet? He said, weeping, and must I walk this road, the saddest of all that I have gone before? My son's voice calls me on. Oh, quickly, quickly. Look through the crevice there and tell me if it is Haman or some deception of the gods. We obeyed. And in the cavern's farthest corner, we saw her lying. She had made a noose of her fine linen veil and hanged herself. Haman lay beside hers, his arms about her waist, lamenting her, his love lost underground, crying out as his father had stolen her away from him. And when Creon saw him, the tears rushed to his eyes, and he called to him, "What have you done, child? Speak to me. What are you thinking that makes your eyes so strange? Oh, my son, I come to you on my knees." But Haman spat in his face. He said not a word, staring, and suddenly drew his sword and lunged. Creon shrunk back. The blade missed, and the boy, desperate against himself, drove it half its length into his own side and fell. And as he died, he gathered Antigone close in his arms again, choking, his blood bright red on her white cheek. Now he lies dead, with the dead, and she is his at last, his bride in the houses of the dead.
She has left us without a word. What can this mean?
It troubles me too. Yet she knows what is best. Her grief is too great for public lamentation, and doubtless she has gone to her chamber to weep for dead son, leading her maidens in his dirge.
It may be so, but I fear this deep silence.
I will see what she is doing. I will go in.
But here is the king himself. Oh, look at him, bearing his own damnation in his arms.
Nothing you can say can touch me anymore. My own blind heart has brought me from darkness to final darkness. Here you see the father murdering, the murdered son, and all my civic wisdom. Haman, my son, so young to die. I was the fool, not you. And you died for me.
That is the truth, but you were late in learning it.
The truth is hard to bear. Surely a god has crushed me beneath the hugest weight of heaven. and driven me headlong a barbaric way to trample out the thing I held most dear. The pains that men will take to come to pain.
The burden you carry in your hands is heavy, but it is not all. You will find more in your house.
What burden worse than this shall I find there?
The queen is dead.
Lord of death. Deaf world, is there no pity for me? You, angel of evil, I was dead. Your words are death again. Is it true, boy? Can it be true? Is my wife dead? Has dead bred death?
You can see for yourself.
Oh, pity! Ah! All true, and more than I can bear. Oh, my wife, my son.
She stood before the altar, and her heart welcomed the knife her own hand guided, and a great cry burst from her lips when Megaristus dead, and for Haman dead, her sons, and her last breath was a curse for their father, the murder of her sons. And she fell, and the dark flowed in through her closing eyes.
God, I am sick with fear. Are there no swords here? Has no one a blow for me?
Curse is upon you for the deaths of both.
It is right that it should be. I alone am guilty. I know it, and I say it. Lead me in. Quickly, friends. I have neither life nor substance. Lead me in.
You are right. If there can be right in so much wrong, the briefest way is best in a world of sorrow.
Let it come. Let death come quickly. Be kind to me. I would not ever see the sun again.
All that will come when it will. But we, meanwhile, have much to do. Leave the future to itself.
All my heart was in that prayer.
Then do not pray any more. The sky is deal.
Lead me away. Lead me. I have been rash and foolish. I have killed my son and my wife. I look for comfort, but my comfort lies here, dead. Whatever my hands have touched has come to nothing. Fate has brought all my pride to a thought of dust.
There is no happiness where there is no wisdom. No wisdom but in submission to the gods. Big words are always punished, and proud men in old age learn to be wise.